I was contracted to help conceal a UFO crash. Part 2. Let's get straight into that. Making it to Billings took me longer than I'd expected it to. As it turns out, hitchhiking on a remote road during the middle of the night isn't the safest thing you could do. Go figure, huh? It was fine though. Nothing I couldn't handle. With that said, my real problems were still ahead of me. I didn't quite remember what the agents who slipped me the paper looked like. When we met up, they were already wearing gear. He was definitely white though, about 6 feet tall, fairly muscular build, and shouldn't be too difficult to spot. And the paper also specified that he'd be in the lobby, and so that's where I headed to once I found the motel. Once in, I looked around. The place, it was nearly empty, with only 4 people sitting around. An older couple, a single woman, and a single man. He was white, tall, probably in his 30s, most likely who I was looking for. "Tell me the guy I'm looking for," I said, approaching him. The man looked up at me. His expression morphed into one of confusion. He shook his head. "I think you're mistaken, sir. I don't know what you mean." I muttered out something along the lines of, "My bad," before getting ready to walk away. But before I could, the man started chuckling. "Yup, this was the guy. You look so worried there," he said, in between laughs. Jesus, that's funny. Safe to say, I was starting to get pissed off. "What the fuck is going on?" I asked. The agent wiped a tear from his eye as he calmed down, before checking the time. 20 minutes left, he said. It was pretty obvious what he was talking about. Had it really been close to 12 hours? What the hell's going to happen in 20 minutes? The man grabbed his jacket and got up. "Nothing good. Follow me." "Follow you? To where? I'll kick your fucking ass if you don't tell me what's going on right now," I said, anger rising in my voice. "Right here? In the lobby? That's a bad idea. Come up to my room and we can do it there instead," he responded. Before I could say anything else, he was already walking up the stairs. I followed close behind, nearly fuming at how shady he was acting. Once he opened up the door to the room, I couldn't stop myself from lunging in and grabbing his throat. He didn't fight back, but at the same time, it didn't seem like he needed to. His neck inexplicably felt like a thick, steel pipe. The harder I gripped, the harder it hurt my hand, and soon enough, I just let go. I stepped back, a dumbfounded expression on my face. The agent checked the time again. "You done now?" I didn't respond. He grabbed a bottle of whiskey from the mini fridge and poured out 2 big glasses, sliding me one while down in his at the same time. "I recommend you drink that quick," he said. I took a deep breath and calmed myself down. "What did you inject me with? What's going to happen to me?" I asked. "Well, you're going to find out if you keep asking questions," he said. "And trust me, you really don't want to fucking find out." He opened up the closet and unlocked the safe inside. He took out a briefcase, flipping it open to reveal 4 syringes. This time, they were filled with a blue liquid. "Drink up," he said, gesturing towards the liquor. "'Cause this is gonna hurt. If you think I'm gonna let you inject me with something else, you're a fucking idiot. Tell me what the hell is going on, right now," I responded. He laughed obnoxiously. "You're calling me an idiot? The same guy who put enough trust in the government to take one of the most blatantly sketchy jobs of all time is calling me an idiot? That's rich. You guys should have jumped out of the fucking truck when you had a chance." I considered responding, but bit my tongue instead. I really couldn't argue against that. It certainly wasn't my brightest moment. "Doesn't fucking matter," I finally said. "You still need to tell me what's going on." "Trust me, I will, but you need this first," he said, holding up one of the syringes. I shook my head. "No, what I need first is an explanation." The agent sighed. checking the time once again. 10 minutes, he said. You really want to make this more painful than it needs to be? I guess so. I wasn't budging. Again, not one of my brightest moments. The man shrugged, sitting back in his chair. So be it. We'll wait. The stern, confident face I was putting on certainly didn't reflect how I was actually feeling at that moment. The agent had a stranglehold on me in just about every conceivable aspect. I hated that fact. I never could accept people having power over me. If I was a smarter man, I would have just listened. But here we are. 10 minutes passed and nothing happened. I nearly breathed a sigh of relief until I felt my arm starting to itch. I scratched at it, only to feel my finger quite literally digging into my flesh. I looked down and nearly choked. It looked like my skin was rotting away, and it was spreading fast. So, the agent said, holding up the syringe. You want it now? Ah, fuck it, I spat, catching it as he tossed it to me. The pain was starting to become unbearable. I stuck the needle into my vein and pumped the mystery fluid into my bloodstream. At that point, the rot had completely consumed my forearm. Oh, it was horrifyingly disgusting to look at. In my mind, there was no fate worse than that shit spread into the rest of my body. That's rapid necrosis right there, the agent said, and you just injected the antidote. I felt immense relief immediately after. I watched as the slow rot crept back down my arm before disappearing completely. In that moment, a wave of euphoria washed over me. I have never done heroin, but I imagine the sensations would be comparable. I enjoy that feeling, the agent continued, because the hard part is coming up soon. I didn't have to ask what he meant by that. It was as if a flip had suddenly switched. The euphoria was immediately replaced with the most excruciating pain I'd ever experienced in my entire life, even worse than when the rot was consuming my arm. This is why I made you a drink, the agent went on. The pain will only last 10 minutes. Try and keep it down though. We don't need any noise complaints. Well, those 10 minutes seemed like 20 hours. If you were to ask me exactly what I was feeling, I would have had a hard time describing it. Hell, simply put, it was sheer hell. As if every molecule in my body was being tossed into an industrial meat grinder before the remnants were dropped into molten lava. I laid on the ground for a few moments after it had passed, and to tell you the truth, I wanted to lay there for a lot longer, but then I remembered where I was. I leapt up, rushing back at the agent. If I was pissed before, I was about to explode now. What the fuck was that? I screamed in his face as I began trying to strangle him again. It was strange. His throat didn't feel like metal anymore. It just felt like regular flesh. I could even see his face starting to turn red. I grinned. I was finally getting the upper hand. It seemed like the antidote had more than a few side effects. But that didn't last long. He grabbed my arm and elbowed me in the face before somehow managing to reverse our positions and mount me. And from there, he put me in an arm lock. All right, he said. You got that out of your system? Can I explain to you what the fuck is happening now? And I tapped on the floor, signaling yes. Well, all right, he said, letting go. We can finally make some progress. He pulled up a chair and sat down, still panting from our short grappling match. I did the same. Why'd you kill my team? I asked. If we told anybody about the UFO, nobody would even fucking believe us. Hell, why'd you hire us in the first place? Slow down there, he said. One question at a time. The first thing you need to know is... And he paused for a moment, almost as if an uncomfortable thought had just crossed his mind. There was no UFO crash, no aliens, that was all fake. I buried my face in my hands, trying to wrap my head around what the hell he had just said. What? Before I continue, you want that drink now? He asked. I nodded. It seemed like I was going to need it. I was contracted to help conceal a UFO crash. Part 3. Let's get straight into that. If there was no UFO, then what was the point of the raid? It's simple, the agent said. To make it look like there was one. I'm not sure why I nodded. It's not like I understood what was going on in the slightest. Think about it, the agent continued. The CIA conducts a clandestine operation that involves covering up a UFO landing. It goes horribly wrong and all the agents die. The agents? I said. My team were the ones that died. The agent nodded. Yeah, and what uniforms were you wearing? I thought back. Suddenly, it made complete sense why they didn't want us wearing our own uniforms. SAC gear, I responded. But that still doesn't make any sense. Every agent should have been registered, right? We sure as hell weren't. That's right, the agent responded. But it doesn't matter. He gestured towards an empty syringe sitting on the table. Once the necrosis finishes, there would have been nothing but bones left. Nothing left to try and identify. That's a real nasty concoction. Fair enough, I said. So, the CIA backs a raid in order to conceal a potential UFO crash. The mission ends in disaster, and everybody, including the cult members, die in an inexplicable way. The agent nodded. The aftermath yields a burning question. Who or what killed them? I sat back. The implication seemed so ridiculous, it was comical. The aliens. The aliens liquefied everybody and escaped into the world. I responded. The agent smirked. Now you're getting it. I don't think I am, I responded. How do hostile aliens running amok benefit the CIA in any capacity? The agent poured himself some more liquor. That part, I'll admit, that's a bit complicated. And complicated it was. This is where his story veers off batshit territory. According to him, this whole debacle started years prior, and with one man at the center of it all. Jonas Kane. To the best of everybody's knowledge, Kane was just a civilian, not a former SEAL, Ranger, or anything to do with that effect. In the span of just 2 months, he managed to gain the favor of a sizable portion of the higher-ups at the CIA, effectively splitting the organization into factions. It didn't take long for his side to start overwhelming the other. Stating that he essentially held the CIA in the palm of his hand, it wouldn't have been a stretch. So, how does a regular guy manage to do all of this? Well, the why to that question was pretty obvious. The how was another story entirely. The antidote, the agent said, holding up another one of the blue syringes. I couldn't tell you the scientific name, so we just call it the God Serum. Kane's claim to fame. I half scoffed, half chuckled. Read a lot of comics. Still a teenager at heart, he said. That's just my coping mechanism for all the atrocities I've committed, though. I couldn't tell if that was a joke or not. So, Kane developed this serum by himself? The agent nodded. That's the way it seems. Well, what does it do exactly? Despite how dumb I thought the name was, it wasn't terribly inaccurate. On top of immediately healing any injury or disease like necrosis, the user essentially ascended into a superhuman state. How strong somebody could become depended on their own genetics. Their base physical attributes could be enhanced 20-fold, at the minimum. All the way to a staggering 55. Slow twitch muscle strength, striking power, speed, endurance, and durability. You name it. It was the super soldier serum on additional steroids. And from what they've seen so far, the haven't been any discernible negative side effects. Kane was also the only one who knew how to make it, and he wasn't sharing his secrets. This gave him a stranglehold on just about the entire organization. Can't the CIA just force the recipe out of him? I asked. You know, advanced torture techniques or something? That's an option, yeah, the agent responded. But it's easier said than done. The upper limit of 55-fold enhancement only applies to the serum he's given us. Kane's different from the rest of us. He's on something else entirely. What I'm trying to say is, he's unstoppable, uncontrollable. Machine guns, snipers, explosives, tranquilizers. Nothing does shit to him. If I were Captain America, he's fucking Superman. Nobody can force him to do anything. I shook my head. This sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Are you hearing yourself? I don't disagree, but absurd as it sounds, it's the fucking truth. And isn't that what you wanted to know? The truth? The agent responded. Anyways, that's the how of this whole story. Kane wasn't a scientist either. Up until 2018, he was registered as a traffic court lawyer in Oklahoma. We don't know how the fuck he managed to do any of this. But the worst thing about the whole situation is that we don't even know what he's trying to do. What is his end game? And the agent stood up, lit a cigarette and began pacing. But it sure as hell ain't probably anything good, he said. Combine this with the fact he's got most of the CIA wrapped around his thumb, and we have a disaster on our hands. He's gaining more and more influence by the day. If he continues to go unchecked, well, you get it, don't you? If the agent was telling the truth, then this was indeed a nightmare scenario. Evil Superman as world dictator, forcing the world to believe we were being attacked by aliens for unknown reasons. What a bright future. So what are you then? I asked. Leader of the anti-Kane faction or something? Not the leader, he said, shaking his head. Just one of the many moles inside Kane's faction. But we all have the same goal. I'll do anything to take him down. Well, I said, standing up. Sounds like you got your work cut out for you. Good luck. I'll be heading out now. I knew he probably wasn't going to let me leave. I could tell that he was trying to recruit me for something from the get-go. But after hearing all of this, on top of my entire team being killed... Wait, I nearly forgot about that. My team's dead, you know, I said, giving him a death stare. And you caused it. I don't give a fuck if you're a double agent or what. How the hell am I supposed to forgive that? I'm not asking you to forgive me, the agent responded. But this is bigger than either of us. Bigger than anything you could imagine. If Kane gets his way, I reckon your team would have been fucked regardless. You don't have to forgive me. All I'm asking is that you work with me for now. If we succeed, I don't give a fuck what happens next. You can strangle me in my sleep for all that I care. Now he began stepping towards me. If you want your revenge then, you can have it. But there might not be a world for you to come back to. He extended his arm, implying that I shake his hand in agreement. Come on, you never dreamed about playing hero when you were a kid? This might be your only chance. I swatted away his hand. What the hell do you want from me anyways? I responded. I can't even stop my team from dying. What good am I gonna be? It finally came out. I didn't blame the agent. I really only had myself to blame. A tough pill to swallow, for sure. The agent paused for a moment. I couldn't even look at him in the eye at this point. I knew he'd be able to see the weakness behind my own. And eventually, he held out his arm again. If I thought you weren't worth recruiting, then why the hell am I trying so hard? He asked. Come on, make the death of your team worth something. I'm still not shaking your hand, I responded. But tell me the plan. You guys do have a plan, right? The agent grinned. Well, I had some work in progress. It's what? And instead of responding, he tossed me a jacket. I knew you'd say yes. Bundle up now. We're headed over to Russia. Wow. Certainly an intriguing storyline coming along here brilliantly by the incredible mind of Mr. Outlaw over on Reddit, No Sleep. Big thank you to Mr. Outlaw for allowing me to narrate this incredible series, and I do hope you're enjoying my work as much as I enjoy yours. Guys and girls, as ever, you know the drill. Please do let me know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help with the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid Crew. If you're an aspiring writer, want to get in touch with myself at the usual email as on screen, which is dmtforestofear@gmail.com. And I really look forward to hearing from you. Hope everybody's had a great start to the month, getting fully stuck into whatever it is that you do, whether studying or work, and you're trying to keep fit and focused during these testing times. But above all, guys, remember, be safe, not sorry.